It's hola, hola.
Hello, welcome in. We are only 4 days away from Brazil 2014. That was Shakira, la la la, and then in parentheses, Brazil 2014, which in my opinion is too long of a name, but oh well. We are, to be specific, for a little bit under 4 days, 3 days and 21 hours, about. So, yeah, we're almost there. I know everybody's on the edge of their seat, so with me to break down what should be a very exciting World Cup, we have Jake Leiker, Carl Mogline, and Jeremy Schnell. We will have Sam Marati later on, I believe. So, let's start out with Jake. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling really confident in myself because I had never heard that Shakira song before until about 30 seconds ago. I've already memorized all of the lyrics. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good day. I'm on my A game. I mean, I memorized a song in 30 seconds. So, I mean, World Cup, how hard could it be?
That's very true. Congratulations, Jake. You should be proud of yourself.
I am.
Everybody out there, if you're listening, just clap. Clap for Jake. Carl, how are you doing on this Sunday afternoon, evening?
Now I'm clapping for Jake. But other than that, yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to talk some soccer. So that's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my more boring intros I've had in a while, so, that's something new.
And then, of course, Jeremy, who is obviously anticipating the Miami Heat game tonight, of course, as well. Jeremy, how are you doing?
We got to talk some football first here, Noah. Come on. Football first, and then we go and watch the NBA Finals.
Of course.
It's still America, guys. Soccer. Let's
proper football. Well,
for me,
proper football.
You psyched me out, though, man. I'm already excited for the Packers to start, and it's a lot further away.
Okay,
yes.
So I should say soccer for your sake and the Packers' sake?
For the Packers' sake.
For America.
All right, so we're gonna talk some World Cup soccer here.
Yeah. So
I'm ready.
Let's get it started, of course. We all know that millions of people right now, around billions, are anticipating the World Cup.
All listening to us.
Everybody.
Well, there would be billions if, China or India was actually in the World Cup. Because of that, I don't know, it decreases.
I am aware,
They
though.
still care.
Between the statistics that I'm receiving, there are between 5 and 6 billion people listening right now to us.
Wow.
Wow.
Let me guess, 30% of those are Martians?
That's like a half of rookies roundup numbers.
Because Rookies Roundup, that's more than the actual amount of people in the world.
Hey, it's so good, everyone wants to listen to it twice.
Are you just clicking on refresh 1,000 times?
You know what? It's for everyone. We reach all corners of the globe. This one's for you, Tuvalu.
Okay. So, let's get it started by talking about the first group. Group A. Brazil's group. The host nation. They obviously come in with great expectations. And you know what? They got a favorable draw. They got Croatia. They got Mexico. They got Cameroon. Nobody you're just going to say, wow, that's a great team. So, straight off the bat, what are your guys' impressions? And we'll start with you, Jake.
Well, I think that the obvious expectation here is for Brazil to win. So we can get that out of the way. I think Brazil should be careful not to take anything lightly, but I think they can still feel pretty confident and feel pretty happy with the groups they got. I'm a little concerned about Croatia, and I like Mexico's consistency. Cameroon, they're old, very, very old, but who knows? I think Samuel Eto'o, we could see a really nostalgic, sentimental last ride from him. For me, I see Brazil going through, and the second team I see going through, which is really a battle between Mexico and Croatia, I see Mexico. Because I actually believe that, despite everything that this team has gone through and all the turmoil, that they're finally starting to return to normal form. They came off a 3-1 win over Ecuador. I think the injury to Chapo Montes is going to hurt them. But I'm really excited to see what Oribe Peralta can do. He's really a fantastic player. I believe he's a number 9 is what they call him. outside of Europe, he is one of the best. He plays in Liga Mexico. Liga MX is Oribe Peralta. Look out for him and look out for Mexico. They are willing to prove that everything they went through is going to be worth it to move on to the knockout round again.
Yeah. Jeremy, Mexico, a familiar opponent to the U.S. Do you think that they have what it takes to move out of the group stage? And who do you think is going to move on?
Well, I do think Brazil is definitely going to move on. But if you look at the difference between Croatia and Mexico, it's not that big of a difference. But I think Mexico will make it through, and you have to watch out for Croatia in this spot. Ivanka Olic, this is his last run potentially at the World Cup, and he's not going to let his team go down without a fight. He scored a bunch of goals in the last couple of games, and we'll see how he helps his team as they're moving towards moving on through the group stage and into knockout stages.
Mm-hmm. And Carl, your thoughts on Group A?
Yeah, obviously I think Brazil is going to have no issues with this group, but I'm going to switch it up and say that Croatia wins this. I think that I like them as a team, and I specifically look at, and they've got a couple of guys, and they have guys out playing for Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, and I think that experience internationally, I like the European experience better because I feel like a lot of the Mexican team is, I wouldn't call them under-experienced, but it's I don't know. I don't think they have that same.
No. My turn now.
Same European experience.
Let's start off with this. Croatia has a lot of talent. Nobody's denying that. Luka Modric, one of the better creators, obviously an integral part in Real Madrid's run to the Champions League title this year. You've got Ivan Rakitic, of course, of Sevilla, who always is fantastic. And just them two by themselves make a formidable duo, but you also have Mario Mandzukic up top, who I believe, Jake, you were talking about, and Carl also, play overseas. Bayern Munich is where Mandzukic plays. Very talented. However, when you look at their defense, it's not quite as strong as you want, I guess, in this kind of team. Mexico, on the other hand, they've played well. I don't think they've been amazing, and at times they've looked shaky. We'll get into that in a couple of seconds. But in the end, I think Oribe Peralta, as you said, Jake, is one of the more overlooked players on this Mexico squad. People think, oh yeah, Javier Hernandez, Chicharito, the best. No, well, Peralta's been a lot better, actually, over the past couple of months. Chicharito's been great, but he hasn't been producing. And a guy you definitely have to look at who's been playing amazing for them is Miguel Layún, the right back. It's more of a right wing back for Club America in Mexico. He's been great, and he's providing most of their offense. The question is now, what are they going to do about their goalie after their main goalie got injured? It's going to be interesting to see what they do. In the end, I do think that they have a good enough defense, an experienced defense with Salcido and Rafa Marquez. You've also got, of course, I said Layún, Andres Guardado. I think they have the experience in the back, and because of that, I see them going through in second. So that brings us to the next topic. We were talking about Mexico, but obviously Mexico has endured a lot of difficulty getting to this point. So the question is, what is different about Mexico right now than during the qualifying? And I'll start with you, Carl.
You know what? Here's the deal. This Mexico team has obviously had a ton of turnover, and they barely made it into this tournament. I mean, they needed almost a miracle out of the U.S. in the qualifying that it ended up. It was a crazy way to end up getting into the tournament. But when I look at Eltree, I see that turnover, and I think the real big thing is that they have a coach that in Miguel Herrera that I think they believe in, especially a lot more than they did earlier in qualifying when they were just switching over coach after coach. So I think that I guess some form of coaching security and just having a guy that he's your coach. I think that's what is different. I don't think it's enough, though. I still think Croatia is going to make it out of this group.
Yeah, they had, at one point, a span where they had 4 coaches in 6 weeks. That's obviously not good. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on Mexico?
So much inconsistency with this team. I really can't put my finger on why it's been so inconsistent after actually they had one of the better showings at the last World Cup, if you remember. And they got knocked out, obviously. But what you want to look for is their goaltender position in the back. He's supposed to be the leader. The goalie's supposed to be the leader of a club. And in this case, Ochoa, he's still fighting for that number one spot. And maybe that could be some problem. That could be the problem behind all this, because obviously it doesn't have a leader on this team, having one of their best players go down just last week.
Yeah. Mexico, as you said, Jeremy, inconsistent. 3-0 over Israel, 3-1 over Ecuador. Those two you think good. Then the offense just shuts down. They lose 1-0 to Bosnia, and they also lose 1-0 to Portugal. And it's just not good enough there. And it's hard to tell what team they are. And Bosnia, I think that they are a similar team to Croatia. So if that shows us anything, it's that Mexico may not be ready, but I still think they'll come out of the group. But last but not least, Jake, what are your thoughts on Mexico and how they've done prior to the World Cup?
No, we talk about inconsistency with this team, but if we're talking about the World Cup itself, they're as consistent as they get. I believe that they have made the knockout round. Is it 4 tournaments in a row? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they made it 4 times in a row. This would be 5 times in a row they would advance past the group stage. So they are consistent when it comes to the World Cup. Now, the turmoil that has come along is going to be difficult for them to transition. However, I think that this side is ready and completely trusts Miguel Herrera, who's he's a big attacking guy. 5-3-2. Mexico wants to score goals. And you know what? Their defense isn't as strong as you'd like it. And I don't think they're getting any further than... I don't think they have a chance to make it to the quarterfinals, to be quite honest, even if they make it out of the group stage, because of that defensive weakness. But I think that they have enough offensively and the attacking variation of 5-3-2 that makes them a very unpredictable team. And that inconsistency could go a long way. They're not an easy team to prepare for because of how many looks they've had. And I think they're going to use that to their advantage.
Okay. So, once again, I am last. But as you guys touched on most of the stuff, I was going to say, look, the coaching was a big issue. And going through that many coaches is never good. Then you get Miguel Herrera, who's done a pretty solid job. Now, one of the things that I worry about now is that since losing Chapa Montes in Ecuador, this team's offense has disappeared. They haven't scored a goal since that Ecuador game, and I think that's a problem. I think that he was a big part of this team, and I think they're going to have to find how they're going to get it back. I like what Miguel Layún was doing, as I said previously. This team, they just lack that creative edge without him, but I think that they can get it back. They're going to need to use a variation of different players. They're going to have to go through Marco Fabian. They're going to have to go through Guardado. They're going to have to go through Pulido and Peralta. They're just going to have to play it smart because they can't afford to make a silly little mistake, and they need everybody at the top of their game right now. It's hard, like you said, Jeremy, to put your finger on exactly what it was that made this team play so badly, because really, previous to that point, Mexico had always been the team that even though there's the U.S., they had always been the team that you think of as the best team in the CONCACAF. The USA would beat them occasionally, and they were starting to catch up to them, but Mexico traditionally was the better. Now, USA obviously is taking that spot. It was just kind of crazy to see it happen. I do think Mexico can bounce back, but of course, nothing is guaranteed. So, we move on now to Group B, which is one of the more interesting groups, featuring the 2 finalists last year, Spain and Netherlands. We have, of course, Chile, who is an upstart team. And then we have the punching bag of the group, Australia.
Poor Australia.
It's sad. It sucks for them. But
they're not that bad of a team either. They almost made it out of the group stage in 2010.
Yeah, but most of that team is old now. Tim Cahill is playing for the Red Bull.
I'm sorry, if you're called the Socceroos, you have something going for you.
That's true. Okay, so this group is one of the more intriguing groups to see who gets out, because most people feel there's a combination of any of the two between Spain, Netherlands, and Chile can make it out. So that's very intriguing for most people. So we'll start with you, Carl. Who do you think will make it out of the group?
You know what? I sat here and long and tirelessly, and as I looked at this group, it's just so hard to pick against Spain recently. So hard. And the fact is, Spain has been too good recently, and while they are getting older, I think, especially excuse me. When I look at the Spanish team, while they had some players that they lost due to age, I think the fact is they are, I wouldn't say completely reloaded, and there are some issues, and I don't think this team is as good as last time, but they are still a good team. Specifically with Diego Costa, I think he is really the best. I mean, because especially when you look, David Villa is now on Melbourne City. I mean,
Well, that's because he's playing in the MLS next year, and he needs somewhere to play.
Step back. Diego Costa gives this team a legit scoring threat. Their midfield is still superb, and even though Casillas is 33, I still think he's a fantastic goal.
I agree.
All around, this team is still fantastic, and I think they can still make it out of this group. When it comes to Netherlands versus Chile, I look at climate as a big issue. Chile has the ability to play in this climate, the warm humid climate, compared to the Netherlands, which is a northern European country, and is going to have some issues. So I think how even they are, and I think the game against those two is going to be what decides it. I think that Netherlands is going to end up dropping, and I think Chile is going to make it out.
Okay. I'm going to go second this time. Yeah.
Ooh, changing it up.
Mixing it up, I know. So let's start in the back. As you said, Iker Casillas, still one of the better goalies. And though he did have that slip up against Atletico Madrid, the majority of the game he played very well. When you look on defense, they are still solid. Sergio Ramos still one of the better center backs. Jordi Alba, a dynamic left back. And Cesar Azpilicueta of Chelsea has played very well. And of course, can't ignore Juan Fran, who played for Atletico Madrid as well. And then in the midfield, this is what makes the team. The talent they have all around. They have Koke, they have Xabi Alonso, Juan Mata, Fabregas. They also have, of course, Xavi, and of course, the one and only Iniesta, and David Silva, and Santi Cazorla. We could go on with talented midfielders. And I think that's what makes this team so dangerous, the ability to control the game in the middle. And unfortunately, I think that Netherlands doesn't have that same control over the mid. And though Chile has Arturo Vidal, they're more of an attacking midfield, especially with Alexis Sanchez playing more of an attacking midfield role. I think that gives Spain the advantage there. And I think Diego Costa, as you said, a legitimate scoring threat every time he gets the ball. The concern is whether or not he will be healthy. Because most of the time during Spain's friendlies, he looked still a little bit behind. Villa may be called on to have to pick up the slack because of that. However, in the end, I think that Spain moves on in first. Now, when it comes to second place, I think it all depends on Arturo Vidal's health. Arturo Vidal, for me, makes that team. Vidal is the most important player on that team. He is one of the best players in the world. He's an up-and-coming player for Juventus, and he is supremely talented. And then, of course, they have Alexis Sanchez, but Vidal controls the middle for them. Without him, I don't think they have enough in the midfield. They don't have somebody who can match up with the attacking presence in the midfield that Netherlands has or the control that Spain has. So if that would happen, I don't think Chile moves on. However, I think he will be fine. He has played fine in the friendlies, and I think that in the end he will be able to play at a high performance level. And I think in the end Chile escapes the group. And you know what? I don't think it's the Chile-Netherlands game that decides it. I think Chile and Netherlands will tie. However, I think it's who slips up against Australia. Because that's the trap game. Everybody's looking at the other two. Everybody's looking at, oh, how will I do against Chile or Spain or Netherlands? No. They're going to go into that Australia game, and one team is going to slip up. They will tie the game. And that team is the team that goes down. I think it's going to be Netherlands. And I think it's hard to call that, but I think that's the trap game.
Australia has a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
They only lost to Croatia 1-0. So if you look and see the team that struggles the most on offense out of Chile and the Netherlands, could be the one that goes down to Australia.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the team who struggles offensively the most out of these three, and struggle only because these are three world-class teams, where offense isn't their strongest point, could be Spain, and I don't really see that happening.
No, but their motto isn't score.
Exactly.
Their motto is control the midfield.
Just pass the heck out of you.
They're going to tire you out.
Yeah, I explain. I don't think Spain's losing to Australia, but I think that when you have a good defense, that best combats a team that is all about offense, and that's the Netherlands. Now, keep in mind, we've seen surprises from the continent of, I guess they're calling it Oceania for FIFA purposes.
Actually, no.
No, Australia
came out of
plays-
Asia.
yeah,
Australia is
Australia
now in the Asia.
Oh, right, Australia came out of Asia. Well, Australia's little brother, the Ireland to Australia, if you will, New Zealand, was actually the only undefeated team in 2010 when they drew all three of their games, despite coming in as the 78th ranked team. Of course, 3 points wasn't enough to make it out, but still noteworthy. I think Australia, well, we'll see. Hopefully they'll be able to draw one game just for the good of the Socceroos. And I think that Netherlands is in the biggest danger of that. What I find so intriguing about Chile is that they're a complete wild card, and that they're very adaptable. Their adaptability is fantastic. They play a very malleable sort of game. They can go from 3-5-2 to 4-3-3. When Jorge Sampaoli came to La Roja, as the Chileans call their national squad, things turned around. This team is going to attack. They're going to find a way to exploit your weaknesses. They're going to find a way to cover their own holes because of the way that they can change their formation, and they can change from matchup to matchup. So again, you have a similar situation with Mexico in that you don't know what to expect with this team. Now add in the fact that Arturo Vidal might not be at his best. You really don't know how scary this team is. But I think that should Vidal not be able to play, either way, Alexis Sanchez is going to shine here. I truly believe that. I think he's done fantastic with Barcelona. And, this is a contract year for him. So he's got especially a lot at the line. International clubs are going to be watching. And if he has a strong performance in Brazil, we could see something big here. Netherlands, they had a great run last time. It ended with them really trying to kick their opponents instead of the ball, which is why they ended up losing to Spain.
That's how you have to play against Spain. If you play into their game and try to play fancy, you're not going to work. If you play how Netherlands played the rest of the World Cup, they wouldn't have been able to even stay in the game, because chasing isn't how you beat Spain. Chasing will lose you the game.
Yes, but also kicking the crap out of your opponents isn't going to do much good either.
It worked. They made it all the way to that point. They lost at the end, but they kept Spain at bay. Spain didn't have many opportunities that game, and not many teams have been able to do that to them.
But, no, hold on. Again, that game against Spain,
It was an ugly game. It was a horrible
very ugly
game.
game.
It was a horrible game. But it doesn't matter.
That's not going to fly this time around. In this group, that's not going to fly.
Oh, of course not. It's That's only a one-game strategy.
It's a one-game strategy. It is. I'm just pointing
Exactly.
out.
You can't assume that team is.
I'm not assuming anything. Don't put words into my mouth here. Listen, last time we saw Spain play Netherlands, Spain got the better of them. We don't know if it's going to happen again. Don't know if it's going to happen again. But when if it's an offensive-heavy team versus a defensive-heavy team, and especially, by the way, with the chemistry issues we've seen in Netherlands, I mean, we haven't really talked about the off-the-field issues with the Dutch squad much at all, but they always seem to have these chemistry issues. I don't know if that team has enough cohesion and team unity to move on. I really like what Chile's got going for them. That's a scary, scary team if Arturo Vidal is healthy and Sanchez is playing his maximum potential. Spain 1, Chile 2.
Okay, and by the way, Netherlands' defense is really quite inexperienced, seeing that they only have 2 players above the age of 25. Those are 30-year-old Paul Vergaai and Ron Vlaar. And Verhaeghe has only played 2 games in his career for Netherlands. So this team overall has absolutely no experience on defense. We have to move on because we're running slow. So let's go through really quickly.
Jeremy doesn't matter. No, Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy didn't speak. Jeremy,
yes,
speak.
Jake went ranting.
Robert Van Persie. That's it. That's
That's your reasoning?
That's all.
Okay. So I'm going to guess that he has Spain and Netherlands.
Yeah.
Carl, you have Spain and Chile. Jay, you
Yeah,
have Spain and
true.
Chile. I have Spain and Chile.
Oh boy, you guys are going with the underdogs.
Child.
That's
Okay.
Child.
We move on. Group C. The group that seems to have absolutely no one amazing.
It's
Though
the
they
group
have
of
Colombia,
life.
who's good enough
It's
to
the
make
group
it.
of life.
They have Colombia, who's good enough. Colombia is good enough to make it to the quarterfinals. Ivory Coast is a good team. Greece is a good team. Japan is a good team. None of them are elite at this point because, of course, Colombia was elite until Falcao got injured, which definitely hurt them. However, they still are the favorite to come out of this group, and because this is my favorite country, of course, me being Colombian, I'm definitely going to talk about it first. I love Colombia. I love what they do. They're still one of the best defensive teams in South America as they finished, I believe, best, actually, statistically, in goals allowed in qualification. And this makes me feel better. Unfortunately, losing Falcao does not hurt your defense. So our defense still should be about the same. And it was our deepest position with players like Ibarbo, who is being sought after by Barcelona at the moment. Carlos Bacca, who is named actually a better transfer than Gareth Bale or Neymar in La Liga. He's playing for Sevilla, by the way. We also have Jackson Martinez, who's also sought after. So it was our deeper position. And, of course, we have James Rodriguez, who is a lethal player. And many people think that he can move on to be one of the better players in the world. I like Colombia to move on in first. In second place, it's tough. Greece or Ivory Coast for me are going to come out. I don't think Japan has what it takes at this moment. Keisuke Honda's great. Kagawa's great. But in the end, I like what Greece back line does, and I like what Ivory Coast front line does. So I think it comes down to goal differential between these two teams. And Ivory Coast moves on barely by the skin of their teeth over Greece. And it's definitely going to have to come through Yaya Toure, because Yaya Toure is the most important player for this team. He maneuvers the team. Though Drogba is their scorer, Yaya Toure is the brain. So, Jeremy, because we almost forgot you last time, you get to go second.
Yaya Toure, you got Didier Drogba, you got all these good players on Ivory Coast. And of course, you got the Colombia squad, which you just touched on, and I know you love your Colombians and all that. But we got to look at Japan and see what type of team they got. Let's see what they have. Could they possibly upset Ivory Coast? Now, I don't think Greece is going to do much in this World Cup. I think they'll lose all their games, maybe tie one. But we'll have to see if Japan can beat either Ivory Coast or Colombia, because I feel like this group, besides Greece, is wide open.
I mean, they are a good team. Not gonna lie, Japan's a good team. I think everybody in this group is good.
They're not great, though.
Yeah, nobody's great. Greece has the best one of the best.
Ivory Coast has a lot of good players, though. A lot of elite talent on that team.
Yes, that's true. That is true. I think every team here has players who are considered of elite level. Even Greece, with, of course, Papastatopoulos, otherwise known as Socrates, who plays for Borussia Dortmund. Jake, thoughts on Group C? And please don't rant. Please don't rant.
I'm not going to rant.
Last time it was a little bit of a rant.
I apologize. But as host, you have the power to cut me off. I've granted you that power.
Yeah.
Group C, it's very simple. One word to... Greece is going to try and win ugly again. If you are a neutral soccer fan and you're trying to get into the sport, don't watch any game Greece plays. Look, it works for them, but they win ugly. It's all defense, and maybe they'll be able to score a goal. Japan, very disciplined team. They're really the Spain of Asia in that they use that tiki-taka style as well. Ivory Coast, oldie but goodie, team that was supposed to really be the golden age of Africa and hasn't been able to live up to those standards. The last ride for Didier Drogba, and of course Yaya Toure might be able to step up. And then we have Colombia emerging as the favorites of this group, despite the loss of Romelu Falcao. So let's put Colombia number one in this group. They're going to move on. I think that I'm going to defer to Ivory Coast on this one, because I think despite what Greece and Japan are going to try and do, Ivory Coast overall is a more talented team, and to be honest, I think they're going to be more motivated because they've gone through a lot more hardship and heartbreak than anyone else in this group.
Okay. So, Carl, Ivory Coast has actually never made it past the group stage. Do you think this is the year that they will?
Honestly, I don't, because the thing is, this is almost the same team that they brought last time, and fact is, it's just older. I think when you look at this group, I think it's a little bit of a shock, but I like Japan. Because I think Ivory Coast is the same team but older, and I don't think Greece is going to be able to score enough. I think that in the end, Japan has some kind of, I wouldn't call it a flair to them, but the fact is, they've been successful. Look at, in a friendly, they beat Costa Rica 3-1, another World Cup team. I think that they really do have a good chance to make it out of this group. Yeah, so that's my opinion.
Okay. And, Carl, your prediction?
Oh, yeah, no, Colombia is going to make it out 1. I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. And then when I look at this 2 team, I definitely take Japan.
Okay. So, we have much more differing opinions on this group than we've had in the past. We also welcome in Sam Marati, who has graciously joined us. Sam, how you doing?
Good, how are you? Excited for the World Cup?
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. I believe everybody talked, except for Sam, of course, but Sam will join us for Group D.
Yeah.
Everybody talked? Jake, Jeremy, Carl? You all talked?
We're good.
Yay, we all talked. That's an accomplishment, guys. So, we move on to Group D, the final group of the top half of this World Cup. We have Uruguay, last year's one of the semifinalists who went home tragically, and some people feel that they cheated their way into the semifinals with, of course, Luis Suarez handball against Ghana, and maybe they did, but they made it nonetheless, and they put up a good fight, and had Suarez been in that game, many believe that they would have beat Netherlands. However, had Suarez been in that game, they never would have beat Ghana. And, of course, we have Costa Rica, who once again seems like Australia. They seem like the punching bag of the group, though they are better than I feel people think they are. However, they are playing in a group with world-class talent. We have England, who has an obscene amount of pace up front and kind of an aging back line that some people feel could be weak. And then, of course, we have the Italians, one of the older teams led by older players. However, they are still a good team, as was demonstrated in the Confederations Cup, though the Confederations Cup shouldn't be weighted too much. And they played pretty well, I guess. You know, it wasn't amazing, but they played well enough in qualifying. So, we come to this group, and we will let Jake go first. What do you think about this group, and who do you think will come out on top?
Just one little thing for Costa Rica. I think we might be doing them a disservice to say they're a punching bag. You know what? They've got a lot. They've got a lot of odds stacked.
I did say that. I said they are better than most people think, but I still think they're the punching bag.
And to think about it, it's worth to keep in mind they lost their leading scorer Alvaro Saborio to injury just 2 weeks before the Cup.
Saborio's not that great, though. Like, to be honest.
They're the leading scorer.
I know, but to be
Which
honest.
says a lot about this team and why they're not going to make it through. Although, keep an eye out on goalkeeper Keylor Navas.
Yes.
He could be a difference maker for this team. And when Uruguay plays Costa Rica in that first matchup, that's going to be the death of Uruguay. Because without Suarez, I don't think Suarez is going to be healthy by that first game. Defensively, they'll be weakened. They're already a pretty weak team defensively. I think Costa Rica is going to be able to take not just 1, but 3 points in that first game against Uruguay, which really simply clears out the way for Italy and England to go through. I really think that it's a strong possibility.
Okay.
Italy. When no one expects Italy to do well, it's when they excel, and I expect them to actually be a dark horse this
No,
year.
I disagree. I think people think they'll do well. I think plenty of people. Let's go to ESPN the magazine to see what they think.
Seem to be overlooking them.
People expect them to do well, and then when they do bad, people are like, "Oh, I knew they were going to do this."
Let's just say that last World Cup, when they were younger, you know what? They were actually probably about the exact same age because they got rid of old people. And
all the talk is about Balotelli.
People got to calm down about Balotelli. Like, that guy is... he's going to get a shot in front of the goal, and he's going to blow it, because that guy, he's going to try to do something fancy. Balotelli
You know what?
doesn't...
I have faith.
He's kind of like the Johnny Manziel.
Yes, exactly. No, he doesn't understand the gravity of certain situations.
I agree. However, he has experience. He has the maturity.
What experience does he have?
And I think that England is going to be able to edge out Uruguay because they're a faster team. They're going to just destroy the backline Uruguay.
He never played in a World Cup.
Yeah.
He never played in a World Cup. but I still think Italy will go through.
Italy and England definitely will go through.
I agree. Italy and England. Carl, do you have any disagreement?
I would honestly. I realize the arguments against Uruguay, but I feel like they've got a better chance. That I don't like Italy, and I don't weigh the Confederations Cup, and the fact is, Italy has issues, and I prefer the Uruguayan side, even without a full even with the issues with Luis Suarez. It's still where I put them. You know what? It's a pick that may not be the most popular, but I've got issues with Italy, especially because look, I know that pre-World Cup friendly should not be looked at that heavily. But I mean, they tied Luxembourg, they tied Ireland. I just don't think this team has enough punch, especially scoring wise, where they continually showed one goals, 0-1.
That's because they're defensive, though. They're.
I just don't think Italy has any scoring punch, and I think Uruguay has.
They don't. What? Okay, fine.
Let's say this.
Let's just ignore Balotelli exists.
No. I'm saying
Carl,
they don't have
Carl and Jake. Okay, first of all, Italy is not a great scoring team. It's clear. Everybody knows. Italy is known for being a more defensive team and a team that really is a calm team. They're not going to go frantic and try to just blast home goals. They are known for having a very strong back line and also having a controlled midfield. And they're not going to score 3 goals. They're not Brazil. They're not going to turn up the scoreboard. 1-0 is their score. And that's dangerous. But most games, 2-0 is enough. 1-0 is enough, especially for this team. And I do understand what you're saying. And by the way, ESPN the magazine agrees with you. ESPN the magazine has Uruguay coming in first and England coming in second.
Told you. They don't expect them to do well.
I expect them to do well. I think most soccer fans expect them to do pretty well. Sam, your thoughts on Group D?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty talented group. I think it's one of the most talented groups. But, in the end, I think Italy and England advance, because Italy, like as you said, you were saying they're a little older, and I totally agree with you. But, they do have a little bit of youth, and I think Balotelli will carry this team. I'm a huge fan of his, and I think he'll do good. And he's played well lately, and he played well in the Euro Cups a couple of years ago. So, I think that experience has helped him out. And, I like England. They have a tough team. Joe Hart, their goalkeeper, he's a great player. But, I feel bad leaving out Uruguay, but I just think England is a little bit better. I like Uruguay. Luis Suarez, one of my favorite players. He's a really talented player on Liverpool, but I just feel like I just feel like England and Italy will advance. And, I don't think Costa Rica can make much noise in this group. I think they're kind of similar to the USA where, they actually aren't that bad of a team, but the group that they're in is very, very hard. So.
Okay. We will, of course, get to the USA later in depth. Group E now. Or no, Jeremy, did you speak?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Good. Just making sure. Group E. One of the weirder groups. And if Group C doesn't have an elite team, Group E is a weird team, especially now that France lost Franck Ribéry being their best player. This is now the group that I am basically least interested in. Even Group F, I'm more interested in. That's saying something. But I'm still interested in it nonetheless, as I'm interested in every group, because I think this has the potential to be the tightest group of all of the groups. We have Switzerland, led by youth in Rodriguez at right back. You also have Xhaka, and of course Xherdan Shaqiri, or Shakira, whatever. I'm going to call him Shakira from now on. If that's a problem, you guys can take it up with him or with me. They're still a very talented team. Ecuador lost to Mexico, tied with England. Which team are they? France lost Ribéry, which really hurts. Can Paul Pogba carry this team? And of course, Honduras, who I think a lot of people are overlooking. They're a good team. However, they just got mauled by Israel. And if that's anything, that's not a good score. When you get mauled by Israel, it's not good. But nonetheless, anything could happen. But will Honduras make a run? Who will come out of this group? Sam, what do you think? Sam.
Sorry, little technical difficulties there, but yeah, this is this is definitely like one of the weirdest groups you were saying. Very weird. Some of these groups are not like balanced out well, but nobody's fault. But still, it's just kind of annoying. But I still think that France will make it out, even if they lost Ribéry. And although he was one of their main cogs, in their team, I feel like they'll still advance just because how weak this group is. And Honduras, after they lost 2-4, something like that to Israel, and we're down like 0-4, some like crazy score like that. That's not a good sign. So I don't think Honduras will do anything in the World Cup. And Ecuador, we'll see. I don't know that much about Ecuador, but the recent scores, I feel like they could make a move, but I just feel like Switzerland and France are going to be too good for Ecuador and Honduras as they're a little bit inexperienced. Yeah.
For reference, by the way, France finishes first in ESPN the magazine, followed by Ecuador. Remember, this is before Ribéry got injured. I will go next. Ecuador, Switzerland. Simple for me. France, for some reason, they always find a way to screw it up. Last year, finishing last in their group, losing to South Africa. Why? This seems like a prime position for this to happen again. A loss to Honduras, and just struggling against the rest of the teams. It looks like it again for me. I think France will struggle once again, and I think in the end, Ecuador will be able to edge them out. I think France will probably tie Honduras at this point. I think Honduras will sneak up on them and get that tie. I think France could theoretically tie all 3 games. And
did you see the game they just played recently against Jamaica?
That's Jamaica.
8-0.
You know it's Jamaica.
Still 8-0.
And Benzema shined too.
Okay, let's.
I'm assuming he was with the wrong goalie too. I'm assuming that was not with Jonathan Ricketts in net.
Let's read. Oh my God. Let's reiterate this. Ecuador is not Jamaica. Not even close. They're much better. Switzerland is not Jamaica. Honduras is not Jamaica. They're all better.
But it's still France.
Yes, and it was still France's last World Cup, wasn't it, when they finished last in their group?
It doesn't matter. It's still France. They're still a good team.
It was
better
still
than
France
Ecuador
last year.
And better than Honduras.
It was still last year. They're better than Honduras, sure. But are they better than the other two? And it was still France when they lost. I'm sorry. This team, without Ribéry, is not the same. I understand they won the game. I understand they won the game against Jamaica. But I do not think you consider Jamaica the same level as any of these teams. Ecuador is significant. Jamaica, let's give them credit. They're not horrible. They made it to. I believe they did make it to the hexagonal stage, and it kind of went downhill from there. But matched them up against Honduras, they lost 2-0 to them. They also tied one. That one being in Jamaica. But they are a worse team. And Honduras, I think that a win against Honduras, fine. You win the game. Great. Now you're going up against Ecuador, who, though they have struggled at times, has also showed that they are one of the better teams. Especially in that tie against England, they do have a lot of talent. And you're going up against Switzerland, who I think people underrate, but still has a lot of youth. Look, if France came out, it wouldn't shock me. If Switzerland came out, it wouldn't shock me. If Ecuador came out, it wouldn't shock me. However, in the end, I think Ecuador will come out in first. I think that they have shown that they are the better team. I think they will be the better team in the game, in the World Cup. And I think Switzerland will finish in second and continue on with France disappointingly exiting. Not to mention that they've had a lot of off-the-field issues, including Sami Nasri not being left on, and then the whole hubbub that surrounded his girlfriend and France's coach, I believe, suing her. It was kind of crazy. Okay.
You know that France just recently beat the Netherlands, right? And Ribéry didn't score any goals. He didn't have anything to do with this game.
That doesn't matter. Look. When was that? I'm looking at their friendlies right now. When was that?
March 5th.
What? Oh, yes, you're right. There we go. How did I skip that? Yes, they won 2-0, but Ribéry's still in the game. Just because you don't score does not mean you didn't do anything.
And they won 8-0 against Jamaica. 8-0 is 8-0.
And they tied 1-1 with Paraguay. Paraguay, who was much worse than Ecuador. And they play in the same confederation. Jake.
May point. Okay. We're seeing a lot of back and forth about. When you say it's France, that either means it's France, look at their pedigree, or it's France, they always find a way to screw it up. Let's take a look at a pattern here. Because 1994, they do not qualify. 1998, champions. 2002, don't make it out of the group stage. 2006, runners-up. 2010 don't make it out of the group stage. 2014 might be an on year, and especially with how
We
bad
just mentioned, though,
2010
that
was.
2006 they had
I'd like to remind you, by the way, that 2010 was especially difficult because the French decided they were going to throw a strike after 2 games, and that their manager had no control over them.
That was
Nicolas Anelka just became a diva and was actually. He called the coach something that.
Let us just mention, though, 2006 Zinedine Zidane was playing for them. Just the greatest French player of all time. No biggie. No biggie, though.
Jake, the problem is finding patterns in teams that are 8 years old,
Okay,
that are
sure.
8 and 16 years old. That's the problem. Those teams are not the same at all.
Yeah,
So
of course, it doesn't
I don't
sound
think
real.
that's irrelevant.
When you cut me off and I can't finish my argument, then of course it doesn't sound real. So let me just finish here.
Yeah, we'll fire it up.
When it comes to, I'm just trying to finish my argument here. Now they have Didier Deschamps. I think last time around, their manager was clearly not able to control that team at all. Anelka called his coach. I can't even say what he called his coach on air.
Okay.
That was an absolute disaster. They come here. Here's the thing. I think Switzerland's going to finish first. I think that they're a very underrated team.
Oh, yeah.
Here's where I give France over Ecuador. Ecuador, their results have been somewhat inflated by the fact that where they play and when they play at home, even in that Quito, Ecuador is the highest capital city in the world in terms of altitude.
It's also very hot.
There's a huge advantage that you take away from them once they go on the road and once they go to Brazil. I think, by the way, France is still an extremely talented team.
Oh, yeah, nobody's denying
Benzema
that.
is doing very well, and let's not forget about
I'm just saying, the game against England was in Miami, and the game against Netherlands when they tied them was in Amsterdam. So I'm pretty sure that's not in Ecuador.
I said some of their results.
I'm just saying. Oh, remember when you said that? Yeah. There's the tie against Netherlands, so they're obviously good. Let's just point that.
They're a very good team.
Can we say something real quickly? Every team we're talking about right now is good, except Honduras is probably the worst team in the group, but they're still good. So when we bash a team, it's not because we think they're bad. It's because we think that they're not as good as the other ones.
All right, can I pipe in here?
No, Jeremy has to go. Jeremy has not been given a fair share.
Wait,
Yeah, I've been arguing with you the whole
fair?
time about France.
Yeah, I haven't talked at all, Noah. Jeez.
Well,
Come on, Noah.
Fine. You know what? I'm sorry. You want to run the show? Have fun.
Thank you for
Jeremy.
apologizing. That means a lot.
Jeremy, you have to go first.
All right. I think France is still going to get through, even though they've had their best player taken out because of injury. France will get through, and Switzerland will still get through. I don't think Ecuador will give much of a fight to either team, and Honduras, you might want to watch out for them, but in the end, it's still going to be France and Switzerland.
Okay, Carl.
I don't
You
know
don't know?
if there's something in the... Okay, here's the deal. I don't know if it's something in the South American air or something like that, but for some reason, whenever I come upon European teams in this tournament, except for one, which I won't get to, but I wish I could get to later, is the fact is I like most of the time, and I should note, I am not going to pick Honduras. The issue is, especially with France, who's an inconsistent team, and I don't think they can do this.
Well, let's be
I
fair.
think-
Every team in this group has been relatively inconsistent.
Okay, all the teams have been inconsistent, but I think that France is the one that I am most confident, other than Honduras, obviously, will be this. And the thing is, we're trying to pick which I think is the best odds to finish in third, honestly. And while France may have something in them, I think there's better odds that Switzerland or Ecuador beats them out.
Okay. I think we have spent a good amount of time on a group that I feel we all feel is not the most interesting group. So let's go on to a group that most people feel was horribly stacked. I mean, just horribly organized.
Oh yeah, very, very, very stacked. Very, very stacked. This
It's-
should be pretty fast.
Look, Argentina, and then we have the drop-off. But they should not be criticized. There are still good teams in that group, just not of the Argentinian level. Does anybody here have any objections to saying that Argentina is finishing first?
Nope.
Yeah. No.
Nope.
I don't.
No.
No one. No one.
No one does.
No.
Argentina's finishing first. I think we can all agree that. Their talent is
Yeah.
undeniable. Ezekiel Garay is an amazing center back. Messi, of course, just by himself is amazing. However, he has struggled for Argentina, but even without him, I mean, they've got Aguero, who is by himself one of the best strikers in the world. They've got Javier Mascherano. They've got Angel Di Maria. This team is very talented, and they're playing very close to Argentina. They have a good contingency of fans coming from Argentina. So we go to the rest of the teams. Iran, though they do not have the lowest FIFA ranking here, FIFA ranking is it's not so great. And Iran, it looks like they are the worst team in this group. Nigeria, you know what? They're a good team, but the score against the USA and how USA played against them, the USA looked good against Nigeria. And I think they looked a lot better than they had in previous results. And then, of course, the team that really looks like they should be the favorite to come out in second now. Bosnia. Bosnia has played very well in their friendlies. They played very well in qualifying, beating out Greece, of course. Or not beating out Greece, finishing second to Greece. And this team, led by Edin Dzeko up top, and of course, they have plenty of talent in the middle with Lulic and Misimovic, a lot of talent in the back, also Spehic. They have a good team, and if you look at some of their recent results, they get the 1-0 win over Mexico. They won in a kind of, the game, it's 2-0, or it's 2-1 Bosnia, but it really, Bosnia dominated that game. Dzeko scored both goals. And I think the next one we go back to is Argentina, where they lost 2-0. But this team overall has looked pretty dangerous, and I think that this group, Nigeria just not looking at the top of their game. Argentina first, Bosnia second, setting up an interesting matchup no matter who Bosnia plays, be it France or Switzerland, a interesting matchup, or Ecuador, we don't know. It could all, I think that's a very intriguing matchup depending on who they play, and also sets up an interesting matchup for whoever comes out of second in Group E, seeing if they can, maybe take a chip out of Argentina. So, Carl, you were the last person to speak in Group E. You get to be the second person in Group F.
Oh, you're so sweet. I don't think there should be any issues picking in this group. It's an easy group for me to pick, really. I think that Bosnia is far and away the second best team in this group. Looking at Nigeria yesterday, they looked flat, especially in the second half, when they just looked tired and not going anywhere. Iran, you know what? Congrats for making it here, but
you're with the big boys now. You're with the big boys now.
Here's the fact. Argentina is one of the... I'm going to say, you know what? They're a favorite to make the finals. Let's be honest. They are one of the two favorites in this tournament. You look at Bosnia, an up-and-coming team that I really like, honestly. These other two teams just don't hold up. This is easy for me. Argentina 1, Bosnia 2.
Okay. Sam, is it as easy for you to pick this group?
Yeah, it is pretty easy for me. I'm going to say, though, Argentina and Nigeria, but, I watched Nigeria yesterday. They were not playing that well. Just at the end, actually, they outplayed USA the last 20 minutes about. They really outplayed USA, but the first 70 minutes, they looked awful out there, and USA was destroying them, and Josie Altidore, those two goals that really pushed them over. I think right now Argentina is the clear-cut favorite, which we all stated, and then I think Nigeria will just have enough. Bosnia is a good team, and Dzeko, he's been playing great game the other day, but I just think that, I think Nigeria and Argentina will make it because of their experience. Because let's not forget, this is Bosnia's first World Cup, and the World Cup experience really, really means a lot. So Bosnia does not have that. And Iran, actually, they do have a lot of chemistry. You'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they sneak away a win, but I just don't think Iran can play it out. But I think the clear-cut favorite is Argentina, and they should be able to go farther. Yeah, so that's my predictions.
Well, there are a lot of inexperienced teams, actually. Brazil is not even that experienced. Neymar was not in the last World Cup. Neither was
Hulk,
that's
true, but their coach has
Oscar.
been...
Of course.
Yeah.
But just to be fair, also Belgium, of course. And Russia. A lot of groups just weren't that experienced. We move on now. Jake.
Whoa,
Jake
and Jeremy.
Whoa, forgot both of you. Wow.
No, you should make a spreadsheet and check it off each time.
Of course.
Yeah. I have to leave pretty soon too. The Heat game's about to start.
Okay, go ahead, speak.
Well, I'm gonna also agree with the last speaker there. I really do think Nigeria is going to get through along with Argentina, and here's why. People forget that Nigeria came in first in the African qualifiers. People think it must have been Ghana that got through. That they were the first team. No, it was Nigeria, and Nigeria is actually a good team. I know everybody's gonna say, "Oh, they looked terrible yesterday," but still, they might show up. They're probably gonna show up for the World Cup here. They got Moses playing pretty well in their midfield position. He can also move up to the front and play forward also. And also, could it be a really bad thing that they didn't call up Obafemi Martins for the World Cup to have another striker on their team?
I mean, Obafemi's good in the MLS, and he's good outside of it occasionally, but...
Everybody go check out oba.com. Oba.martins.com.
Oba is capable of some pretty spectacular goals, though.
No,
Everybody go check out the Oba.
Great for him. Great for him. In the MLS, he's great. And I think there are plenty of people who come out of the MLS that can say, you know what, I'm a great player. But, unfortunately, I think that the players Nigeria has up top, and by the way, their best striker, I don't think he started the game for them. Their main goal scorer at the point being, blanking on the name. Whatever. I think that they are a good team. Peter Odemwingie is good. Emmanuel Amenike is good. So, Jake, we come to you now because we all are eagerly awaiting Group G, and we all need to get there because people need to go. So, you know what? Make it short and sweet.
Okay, Iran. Defense, defense, defense. Don't be surprised if they take away a point. Argentina, obviously first place, which means it comes down to Nigeria and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Last time Nigeria came around to the World Cup, they were so bad that actually their president of that nation, whose name is actually Goodluck Jonathan, President Goodluck Jonathan, tried to ban the team from playing in any international competition for 2 years. I guess they got that reversed, but still, this team lacks star power. Bosnia-Herzegovina is going to be extra motivated. They're coming in first time as the nation of Bosnia-Herzegovina. Eden Dzeko, I don't know how we went through this entire group without mentioning his name, or maybe I just missed that.
We mentioned him multiple times.
Okay, good. Because it
also
needs to be
Eden.
said.
It's not Eden.
Bosnia-Herzegovina are going to move on. Nigeria crashing
He's not a
right
woman.
again.
He's not Eden. It's not a woman. It's Eden. But, okay. Let's move on.
We should.
We have two people, Carl and Jeremy, who have to leave soon because Jeremy, of course, has the Heat game, and Carl leaves because, I don't know.
And I'm superstitious, so I have to be downstairs sitting on my couch with my towel and everything for the Heat game, so,
Group G.
Yeah, considering the air conditioning there, you might need that towel. Also, don't forget a fan, some drinks.
Yeah.
It's pretty hot down here.
Group G, the group of USA death. Yeah.
Oh, boy. I believe that we will win.
Let's have Jeremy speak first because he's going to give us the most. It may be biased, but it'll be interesting. So, Jeremy, go first.
Germany gets through. Portugal ties the U.S. The U.S. win their first match against Ghana, and the U.S. They probably lose to Germany, but I still think winning against Ghana and tying against Germany or Portugal will be enough for the U.S. to get through. Germany and the United States get through because of Clint Dempsey and DeAndre Yedlin from the Seattle Sounders.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That was the only disappointment for me, that I didn't get to see Yedlin or Dempsey play yesterday.
Yedlin's amazing. No, don't sleep on Yedlin.
Yedlin's
guarding Ronaldo. Yedlin guarding Ronaldo. That is a huge matchup.
Without Brad Evans, how are you supposed to do it? I mean, obviously, the tweet told us everything.
Ronaldo, he got off easy this time.
Yeah, okay. Look, I appreciate the optimism.
But Noah, it's Carl's turn.
But I appreciate the optimism, but Carl has to speak.
There we go. You're learning.
Honestly, I'm learning.
I do think that the U.S. is better than Ghana, but the fact is, while I wouldn't be shocked if the U.S. makes it out of this group, I still take Portugal over the U.S. because you cannot ignore the fact of Ronaldo. He's a difference maker, and the U.S. has shown issues with finishing. So, in the end, I think that the U.S.'s issues with finishing will lead to You know what? Even if they tie Portugal, I still see Portugal coming out because Portugal's got the ability to just pound out goals on goal for goal differential. So it may not be, the U.S. may not make it out. Portugal may not make it out easy, but I still see them making it out. That's all for me. Thank you for having me, Noah, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go to USA all the way. Let's go.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy.
Thank
you, Carl. It's been a pleasure. And I just got to eject both of them. Yay! So, we had a lot of optimism there, but let's all be... I think everybody here is perfectly capable of understanding this is the end of the USA run right here. The start is the end. Let's be all perfectly clear with that. I think we are all understanding of that. Would you agree with me?
I mean, I agree with you, but I think USA does have a chance. I mean, you're ruling them out right now, but they have looked very well. You have to admit that. They've looked well. They looked pretty well against Turkey. They had a good game. They had a great game against Nigeria. So, I wouldn't be surprised. And let's not forget, nobody mentioned this, but Ronaldo is not healthy.
Okay, which doctors failed this time?
He rejoined the practice. He's practicing
playing.
with it.
He's going to play against Ireland. He'll be fine. And they're not playing him in the first game. When that game comes, they have nobody who can stop him or Moutinho.
I think
too hot in Brazil. Cristiano Ronaldo will not
Portugal
pass
is usually overrated. I mean, last World Cup...
they're not overrated. I think you just got to look at who they played. They actually ended up happening to play Spain. I don't know if you know what happened to Spain, but they actually happened to win the World Cup. Interestingly enough.
That's true, but... I just think Portugal with Ronaldo sometimes gets a little bit overrated. You can't.
I agree. I think that this team isn't as good as their FIFA ranking suggests, but I still think they are a better team than the U.S. I think the U.S. would be lucky to beat Ghana because for some reason, no matter if we were... USA could be the best team in the world and they would still lose to Ghana or tie them because the U.S. just can't seem to beat them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is true, yeah.
It's ridiculous, frankly.
And Ghana's one of the toughest teams out there. They don't have the star power, but they are a tough team.
They're still a good team, yes.
Yeah.
So, my prediction, Germany first, Portugal second. Pretty straightforward. Jake, your thoughts?
I'm glad we got to talk about Ghana because they're not going to get the attention they deserve here. I do believe the USA is going to beat
I think Ghana could slip through.
I think USA can beat Ghana. That's third time's the charm, extra motivation is all this team needs. They're firing all cylinders. They're going to go in there. They're going to be pumped up. I think they'll be able to take it against Ghana. Hopefully Ghana will be able to take a point here. That's literally just how bad I feel for this team. Because Ghana is such a fantastic team, and any other group, they would be going far, but not here. So that leaves us with three now. USA, Portugal, and Germany. I think Germany, despite the injuries they've had, they're such a tactically sound team. I think they'll be able to move on. That leaves us with USA and Portugal. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo is not missing a game as long as the temperature is triple digits because Cristiano Ronaldo will jump at any opportunity to take his shirt off, whether that means he's injured or not. He will play, and I do think that he'll be able to break out of this World Cup. But will his team be able to carry him? I think that the depth of this team is being underrated, but I think the injury to Pepe definitely hurts a lot. Portugal is still just a better team than the United States. And even if they draw, I still think Portugal would be able to move on here. Okay. So Germany 1, Portugal 2, but good luck to USA.
Sam, are you in agreement with this prediction?
Yeah, I just think it's going to be Germany and Ghana in the finals because I always think Ghana, they always find a way. And whether it was 2006, 2010, they always find a way to advance. I think they're a great, great team. And I think USA finishes last just because they haven't seen teams like Portugal yet. And, it would not surprise me if they somehow come out because this is a tough team and they played well lately. But, some of the teams that they faced lately are not like Portugal and not like Ghana. They're not in the same league, not even close to as good. So, I think USA will have to, be really prepared if they're going to face these tough teams. And, I feel bad for them because they're playing well, but they're in such a hard group, so I think Ghana and Germany will advance. Yeah, Germany being what I think will be like the staple in the group, but will pretty much for sure advance.
Jake, you're shooting Ghana down a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Just to be clear with you here.
No, I think they're a fantastic team, and I think that...
They're better than USA. I think that they could beat them, but I think the U.S. could win. But Ghana has played exceptionally well. They have. It's not like they're playing poorly. This team. Let's go to their friendly. Recently, and if the Wikipedia allows me to get there quick enough, they lost 1-0 to Netherlands, but they were competing the whole way through. It was tight the whole way through. And
I think Netherlands is better than Portugal.
Here's the game I want to see though. Of course, this being tomorrow, them versus South Korea. I know South Korea isn't the team you say wow, but I think this is a team that you can really see where they're at. So let's just look at that to be sure. But we have to move on. Group H. I think an intriguing group. Are there two group teams that we can... Is there a team we can rule out? No, not really, actually. I think that there are two teams that I think stand above the rest. But surprisingly, I think Algeria, they've got Feghouli, of course, who's actually talented, plays for, I believe, Sevilla. He's talented.
Nasir Chadli, boys.
Oh, yeah. We have South Korea also, who isn't bad. They're not a bad team. And even though their FIFA ranking suggests otherwise. But for me, two teams stand above the rest. Russia beat out Portugal in qualifying. They were better than them. Russia's a good team. And I think Russia is better than Algeria, better than South Korea. You know what? It wouldn't shock me if they came out in first. However, I think Russia does finish in second. Belgium has a lot of talent, but they do lack experience. And that's a problem. However, I do think that they will be able to edge out Russia and take the first spot in the group. Of course, if Hazard plays at top level, and I mean Hazard is amazing, and so is his brother Thorgan, who is apparently a bunch of teams want him this transfer window. You've got Axel Witsel, who though I hate playing with him in FIFA, he's still phenomenal. Marouane Fellaini was surprisingly disappointing at Manchester United. You've got Kevin De Bruyne. Here's the big issue that I actually might consider swaying my point. Their best goal scorer, now that Benteke was injured, Romelu Lukaku, their second best goal scorer, was injured. Now, he will probably play, but it's still something to look at. And now we move to Jake.
To be honest, I find this the least intriguing group. I think Belgium's great, but I don't know. You don't have many high-profile teams here. And by the way, look, Russia, yeah, they drew, or they beat Portugal. Guess what, though? They also struggled in qualifying. Keep in mind, so Russia get that huge advantage when Portugal drew Northern Ireland, but then, which was less than a week after Russia beat Portugal, but then Russia's team gave those points right back because they lost to Northern Ireland. And then they got lucky because Portugal lost to Israel. So really, neither team wanted to, it seemed like neither team wanted to win that qualification group. I think Russia got a little lucky here with a not as strong group. No disrespect to Algeria.
And Switzerland, who had a group with Iceland, Slovenia, Norway, and Albania and Cyprus. You don't take away from them because of that.
I'm talking about the World Cup.
World Cup group. I disagree, frankly.
I know how strongly you feel about Russia. I'll let you get to that first, but let me just say this: Belgium, fantastic squad. I'm excited to see what they're going to do, and I really feel bad because this was supposed to be their golden age, and these injuries could not come at a worse time for them. I still think they'll top.
They've got a long time to go. This is not their just like one and only golden age time.
Correct, but I think they were pretty motivated. I mean, 4 years is a long wait.
Well,
I'm allowed to feel bad for them. Just give me that.
Okay.
And then, number 2, I'm gonna give to Russia because I think they're the most talented of the last 3, and they have Fabio Capello. We know what he can do. I think Russia will move on, but they're not going to really make much noise at all.
Well, yeah, if they're coming in second, whoever's coming in second to play Germany isn't making noise. We go now to Sam. What are your thoughts on the final group?
Yeah, I think Belgium is a very talented squad. They are inexperienced, though. That's a big thing, as I mentioned before. But, as you were saying, there are a lot of inexperienced teams. But Belgium, this is their first time, in a while for many of these players. So it may be a little hard for them. And, I want to reiterate what Jake was saying. This is what I think, also is one of the most, least flashy groups. There are not very many, star teams in this group. But, I think Belgium and Algeria will advance. And, I like Russia, as you were saying. But their captain, Roman Shirkov, was just injured, and he'll be out for the World Cup. I mean, he was their captain. You can't just replace somebody like that right before the World Cup, a week before it. So I think Russia will have a hard time advancing. He was their best player, so, I don't think Russia will be able to...
He is not their best player. Alan Zagoyev is far and away their best player. So is
Yeah,
Yuri
but
Zhir-
I mean,
Yuri
he's their
Zhirkov.
leader. I mean,
That's true.
I know.
I understand that. But so is Ribéry for France.
that's true. Yeah.
But
Well,
France.
I mean,
Okay, hold on. France minus Ribéry is a completely different story than Russia.
Well, I think, first of all, Russia is a much better team than I think people give them credit for. Sure. They didn't play amazing in qualifying. They played very well in the European Championship, UEFA, of course. They played well there. This team is composed of a lot of young talent. Alan Jagoyev, one of the more sought-after players from Russia. He is very talented. I was just on the Russia page, not the Russia national football team page. Okay, fine. Great. Thanks. Oh, by the way, just once again, because I have to say it, Wikipedia is not a bad source.
thank you. Yes.
I know.
I
You
hate
do
when
sound
people
laughing, by
say
the way,
that.
because you seem to say this every single time.
I have to tell it to everybody. People may not have heard. Look, you can still find out their exact squad on here. Look at that.
Well,
Their squad. It's not their name. I'm not going to call it their team. What is that? Like, this isn't basketball. Look, they are, first of all, let's just say this. They are so cohesive because they all play in Russia. Literally nobody on their team plays in any other league. Akinfeev of Russia, very talented goalie. One of the better goalies and one of the better young goalies is 28 years old. You also have Ignashev, who's great. Denisov, who is now their new captain, by the way. You have Yuri Zhirkov, of course, as I said, whose name is great. I mean, nobody can deny that, Zhirkov.
Zhirkov.
Alan Jagoyev is a talented starlet. And we're going to get to the rest of them. Alexander Cochran. We have a lot of different players. I actually have... I have another one. I have one I can get who will be one of my up-and-coming players. So, two of us have Belgium, Russia. One of us has Belgium, Algeria. So we move on.
Wait, can I just point one thing out very quickly? I know we need to move on, but USA could play Russia in the World Cup. I just want to point that out. That is a possibility.
That'd be great.
Okay, move on.
Okay, we're going to overrated teams now. And let's not... we might have a bunch. Do not give a long and tireless one. And I'll start off to give you guys an example. I don't like France because of their loss of Ribéry. Not to mention, they're playing in a very warm weather place, and for me, they just screwed up. In my opinion. Italy. I think they're good, but they're older. They're playing in a very warm weather place where it's going to tire them out. However, their style may benefit them in that way. I still think they're an overrated team, but they're still good, and they're still good enough to make it to at least the quarterfinals. Next up, Portugal. Look, their defense has been strong in past years. Pepe not 100% healthy. Ronaldo will be healthy, even if he was injured at this point. Overall, this team is good enough to make the quarterfinals at best, no farther. Next up, Uruguay. Great team last year. Qualifying was bad. I watched them play in South America. Ecuador, far and away better team. Far and away. In the games they played against each other. Ecuador's just a better team. Chile's a better team. Colombia's a better team. Argentina's a better team. Uruguay was in danger of not making it through. Uruguay didn't look good, and the fact that Luis Suarez may not be 100% healthy really worries me. There we go. That's the example I have for you. Jake, go.
Well, I mean, I only had one team prepared, and you kind of took it, and that was Uruguay. And I want to point something out here, because Uruguay's defensive weakness is really going to come back to bite them when they play England.
They do have Diego Godin. They do have Diego Godin, who is one of the better center backs in the world. Diego Godin.
Correct, and they have Cavani.
Well, Cavani's not a center back. He's a striker.
Correct. I see what you're saying. Okay. But I think that even England can't mess this one up. England is arguably the fastest team in the world. Arguably. One of the fastest
Minus
teams.
Rooney. Rooney's a little bit on the slower side.
And now Uruguay. So it could come down to England and Uruguay. And England's just going to be able to speed by that back line, I'm worried. I think that speed is going to kill here. And while I would like to see what Uruguay make it to the semifinal like they did last time, I don't think they can do it at all, let alone get out of the group stage.
Okay. Sam, do you have any overrated teams for us?
Yeah, I have Portugal starting off. I mean, Portugal, like I said, I think they're a good team, and like you said last time, I know they had to play Spain, but I just always think they get a little bit overrated because of Ronaldo. And Pepe is not 100%. He's their number one defender, so I just don't really see them making it out of this group. I also think that France is a little bit overrated, even though I think they could make it out of their group, because after Ribéry went out, I mean, he was their number one guy, so it's going to be tough for them to overcome that loss. And I also think Italy is a little bit overrated myself, as you mentioned. I like Italy. I think they're a good team, but they're really getting up there in age and don't have very many young players. So, those are my overrated teams. And, I think Uruguay is a little bit overrated, but they do have a lot of talent, especially
That's true.
Suarez, And so I think Uruguay is a little bit overrated, but, they do have some talent. You can't deny that.
Oh, I got one more. I think Croatia's a little on the overrated side as well. I think that, once again, we see defensive people overlooking defensive weakness.
I think that they have a hole on defense, but they still have an excellent offense, and that's fine.
I agree.
Let's go to underrated now. I have 3: Russia, Chile, Bosnia. Chile, of course. Jeremy said that Chile was an underdog. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
They were an underdog.
No.
They were dark horse.
I mean, ESPN picked them. Most teams picked them. Most people pick them now at this point, which is interesting because I think that they have played exceptionally. And I think that they are a dark horse, yes, but an underdog no longer. And I think we've gotten to the era where dark horses are almost non-existent because of the fact that everybody already knows them now because of the internet and social media and all of these different things, and people are just like publicizing everything about them. Gotten to that point. Russia. Jagoyev, Kokorin. This team, Zhirkov. I had to say it. This team, very talented, very young, and very interesting to watch. I think they are good. And then, of course, Bosnia. Bosnia was overlooked during their first World Cup, sure, but they are still a very good team. And I think that they have a very balanced team, a very underrated, yet good back line. They are my 3rd underrated team. Jake, any underrated teams for us?
I love Chile. And I think if there's any team in this tournament that can beat Brazil, that can shock the world, it's Chile. Because not only is Chile the wild card, not only do they have an insanely high ceiling and can adapt and have a new look, but they have bad blood with Brazil. Now, let's not forget that Brazil was the team who knocked out Chile last time around. You think Brazil had a bad tournament? Chile went out a little earlier than they probably would have liked. And let's not forget about how Chile missed...
Well, Chile lost to Brazil.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about how in the 90s Chile missed 2 World Cups after that Brazil-Chile game when one fan threw a flare onto the pitch. Their goalie went down, but apparently he was faking it. And because he faked it and the game was suspended despite the fact that Chile was losing, Chile missed for 2 years. There was bad blood between Chile and Brazil. Chile, I think they might have what it takes.
Okay, and Sam, do you have any underrated teams? Okay, never mind.
How am I forgetting something? Bosnia, I echo everything you said. Italy.
Okay.
Sorry, my microphone is just
Okay, give us...
weak. Okay, I think Ghana is an underrated team just because they're always there. They're always tough, and as Jake pointed out, defense is huge. Ghana is a great defense, and I think Belgium is also very underrated. They're a young squad, but they have plenty of good players, and Hazard is a good player himself, and the group that Belgium is playing in will allow them to advance easily, so I think Belgium and Ghana are the most underrated teams, yeah.
Okay, Jake, let's not do underrated for the public. Let's do what you think is underrated.
No, I think Italy's underrated, and I think Italy has what it takes to beat Spain, because here's what people aren't realizing about Italy. People are going to say, okay, Italy is old, and they're going to be too slow in this heat. Let's remember that Italy has a very calculating, methodical style.
Let's not forget
that's
exactly how Spain plays, though, too.
Correct.
They do have the brain in their midfield. Iniesta is the brain.
I know. I'm saying Italy is a very slow,
They do.
calculating game that is going to allow them to outlast.
But here's the problem. They're going in the group stage against teams that are going to exhaust them. And look, Uruguay and England, they are very frantic and frenetic teams. They move a lot. Italy. If you, Jake, you watch English soccer. switching the field, just crossing it from side to side is basically what England is about. They like to move it side to side.
But I think
It exhausts
and that's
them.
where I think Italy's go. That's why I think it works in Italy's favor, because they don't have to play into that frantic game. They can play a little slower, and
here's the
they'll
problem.
find a way to make it work.
If you do not, England is one of those teams where it's very difficult. But if they don't, if they just let them do what they want to do, it's going to be very difficult. And I don't think
that's going to happen. Though.
Look, and then you get Ivory Coast, who, even though I think they'll win and I think they'll handle easily, they would be tired. Just putting that out there. But we're not talking about that. We're just talking about underrated at this point. Okay. Can we go to dark horses?
Was not the exact same thing?
No, underrated and dark horse are two different things. Underrated means they're underrated. Dark horse means that they actually have a legitimate shot of winning or making it to the final. I'm feeling you just probably did dark horse.
No. If you want dark horse team that could actually fine, then let's put Italy as a dark horse.
Okay. My dark horses, Belgium. They can win. Colombia, because surprisingly they have a great defense. And that matches up with all the offensive teams they're playing, until, of course, they play Germany, which is a problem. England, fast, talented. And you know what? They're still a great team. They do have age problems on the back line. Let's point that out. England does have a lot of holes on the back line. So they could actually go either way in overrated or underrated. But I still think they're a dark horse. Sam. I feel like, Jake, you did most of your dark horses, so Sam.
Surprisingly, my dark horses are the same as my underrated teams. I think both of those teams, like as you mentioned, Belgium and Ghana, both have a decent shot at doing something in the World Cup. So I think they're both my underrated and dark horse teams because both of them are very underrated, but both of them I think can produce, and they both can win. So yeah, those are my underrated teams. And I like Colombia's defense as well. I think Colombia is an excellent team. I actually had a chance to watch them, but I'm just not sure that they'll be able to, advance through their group, but we'll see.
Yeah, I do have some dark horses that other than the underrated ones.
Okay.
Here we go. Argentina. They shouldn't be a dark horse, but yet they are because of the opening group that they play in. Listen.
So many people have them in the finals. How are they a dark horse? Our dark horse isn't the people don't expect.
I thought it was teams that aren't getting a lot of attention.
No. Argentina gets the attention nonstop, dude. They don't get
they're
their group.
messy like the most.
Their group isn't getting attention, but they're getting attention.
No, whatever you say.
Because they have Messi.
Other dark horse. Portugal. Hear me out. Cristiano Ronaldo, overrated if he is still the best player in the world.
Yeah.
If you have the best player in the world actually finally being able to break out, if that team...
Lots of ifs there.
It's a prediction show. Everything is if.
No, that's fair. Fair. Accepted. You may continue.
Thank you. There is a lot of potential for that team, and if they can fire on all cylinders, if they can fix their mistakes and they can get healthy, it's a lot of ifs. It's a big if. But they have the ability to make a very deep run.
That's true. Okay. We go now. Our final four teams. Who will be the last four remaining? For me, there were no issues choosing who my final four were. Brazil. Honestly, they're coming off a horrible World Cup. I don't think they do it again. Germany. This team, at one point, was the favorite to win it all. Spain, last year's champion. It's not easy. It's not an easy road, and they could even find themselves out in the group stage because they do have a tough group. But I think they will overcome, and I think they will continue because they do have still one of the best midfields, and I think a rejuvenated midfield. I think Diego Costa makes a big difference if he can stay healthy. And last but not least, Argentina. I just think their road is probably the easiest. I don't think they have an issue in their group. I don't think they have an issue in the first round. I don't think they have an issue, be it Portugal, be it Belgium, be it whoever it is. I think they cruise to the semifinals. So those are my last four. Jake, your final four.
Okay, these are preliminary. You can't hold me to these.
You don't have much time.
Who knows what I might do.
You only
but
have
as of right now, I think Germany seems to be my easiest decision there. Germany is going to make it. I think that as of right now, I do believe that Brazil is going to be able to defeat Chile. They'll make it to and whoever that to beat next. they'll make the semifinal. Argentina is going to be able to beat Portugal, and Argentina is going to represent that quadrant, if you will. And this is where it gets a little iffy. You know what?
I don't know.
Italy
That's fine.
over Spain. Italy, semifinal. They can do it.
No, I at one point had that as well. They're very even teams when they play each other. As we saw in Confederations Cup, though you don't weigh it much, you still gotta weigh it something. Sam, your final four.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Brazil versus Germany and Spain versus Argentina. I think Brazil is a great team, and they're actually one of my favorite teams. Actually, they are my favorite team, but, because I think they will be the best in the World Cup, but I think they will face Germany, and I think Germany's going to have a really easy time making it, because if they win their group, which they are expected to, they'll likely have to play France, and I think they'll have an easy win there. So, yeah, Germany has a very easy road to get there. And along with Argentina, I think Argentina you can just put them down in there for sure. I'm pretty sure, I can say this, I'm pretty positive that Argentina will make it. So, and then Spain is a little bit of a tough time. I don't know if they'll be able to make it, but we'll see. But I think Spain will just have enough to get them out. But, I'm a little iffy on Spain. But I think their experience will take them, and I think the final will be Brazil versus Germany and Spain versus Argentina.
Okay, so we go now to breakout players. I have a couple. Antoine Griezmann will need to be a breakout player if France wants success. Griezmann, of course, one of the contingent of young, talented French soccer players, as they have many of them. Griezmann, of course, only 23 years old, plays for Real Sociedad. This guy is quite talented, scoring 16 goals last year for Real Sociedad in 34 appearances. And he has yet to score an international goal, and he was named to the 2014 FIFA World Cup squad, obviously. I mean, if he wasn't, I wouldn't talk about him. But he still has played well. And you know what? He might not start, but I think this is his chance really to break out and break onto the scene and show his talent. Now, next up, the guy I was talking about for Germany, Alexander Cochran. I think
Russia.
Russia, yes. Because I love Russia at this point, for some reason. Nothing against the U.S. Oh, I just hit my hand on the shelf.
That's called karma. Communist.
Oh, great.
I'm just kidding.
It's Cochran, by the way. So he is a very talented player. Plays for Dynamo Kiev right now. After playing for Anji Machakalaka Chakalaka Laka Laka. It's a really can somebody pronounce it? Does anybody know what team I'm talking about?
Yes, I think it's like Mashkalaka.
Machakala. Something.
I got this.
Great. The pronunciation they give me is in Russian letters, because I can pronounce that. Okay.
It is... Are they not in the Premier League? Are they not in the Russian Premier League?
They are.
I don't see them. Oh, maybe it's Ural is short for something?
They're in the Football National League.
Okay, yeah. They use their like short names. Is it Krasnodar or something?
It's Anzi or Anji, whatever it is.
Anji. Oh, that's actually the worst team in the Russian Premier League. Sorry about that. Okay. Anji Makhachkala.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money getting Eto and everybody, and then they just dropped off completely. He's very talented, Cochran is. This guy was, of course, included in the World Cup squad. He scored his first international goal in 2012 against Israel. I think he has a big shot to break out. He is sought after by many of the better teams in Europe. I expect him to have a great World Cup. And then Serge Aurier of Ivory Coast, though I do not want him to have a breakout because, Colombia's in the group. Serge Aurier currently plays for Toulouse. And he's a right back, very talented, very solid. He may or may not play, 21 years old, so he is definitely very, very young. And he doesn't have much experience. However, he has made 7 appearances for Ivory Coast, and I do think he will get a good shot to be able to really display and showcase his skills to the world. Jake, your breakout players?
Breakout players. Balotelli.
Oh my God, he's not a breakout player.
Hold on. I thought you said he's never been in a World Cup before.
He's already broken out though at Manchester City
Yeah,
and
I mean,
AC Milan.
in the Euro Cup, he had a
so
great
I thought you
form.
meant breakout as terms of World Cup career. Okay,
No,
now I understand what you're saying then. Alexis Sanchez.
He plays for Barcelona. He plays consistently for Barcelona.
So you want me to pick someone more obscure?
I want you to pick somebody who hasn't broken out yet.
Okay, what about Keylor Navas?
That's
Goalkeeper.
that. Okay, there we go. That's a good one. I was actually
Costa
considering using
Rica.
him.
Look out for that. You know what? It's going to be harder to score against Costa Rica than you think. Watch for African goalies. I think we could see the same thing for the Cameroonian goalie. So look out for Charles Etonje. He was actually, he's had a very rocky road. Actually, they kicked him out of Liverpool in disgrace because cameras caught him chuckling his way through a Hillsborough memorial service. So that was it for him. But, he's still a good goalie. Look out for him. It's the teams you don't expect good goalkeepers can save them. Perhaps.
Okay. Sam, do you have any breakout players for us?
Yeah, I have Raheem Sterling. He's going to be on England. He's 19. I know he's on Liverpool, but he's a young guy, and he is going to be great. He's played very well, and I think he'll do some good things in the World Cup. Another guy, Christian Atsu, on the top team, one of my underrated teams, Ghana. I think he'll make a big difference for Ghana. And let's not forget the Colombia team, James Rodriguez. He is a great ball handler, he's a great, player. So I think he'll make a difference, and yeah, I think he'll be great. So.
Okay.
Jackson Martinez, too, by the way. I like
Jackson Martinez is not good. I'm sorry, that guy just sits in the box. From everything I've seen, he's so hyped. But that guy, for me, he's like Freddie Adu was for the U.S., a guy who's getting overly hyped. And
It sounds to me like he hasn't broken out yet then, which makes him perfect to be a breakout star.
He has broken. He's not. He might not even play, by the way. Golden Boot, best scorer. My 3 candidates, pretty straightforward. Messi, Neymar, and then, of course, the most interesting one, Fred. Because everybody's paying attention to Hulk, and to Neymar, and to Oscar, and to all of those great players. What about Fred? Fred, one of the better goal scorers. He's a very, very talented player, and it's Fred. That's his name. Just Fred. It's like Joe. Oh, Fred and Joe. That's like a great combination. I think that they should both start. It's just so simple. Obviously, he currently plays for Fluminense, but he is a great scorer, and he is experienced at the age of 30, and I think that a lot of people are going to be looking looking at Neymar, looking at Hulk, draws attention away from himself, opens him up for opportunities to score. He is one of my predictions. So Messi, Fred, Neymar for Golden Boot, and if you don't know what Golden Boot is, top scorer of the World Cup. Jake.
I'm torn here because I'm still not sold how far I want Argentina to go. I guess for now I'll say Messi by default. If not Messi, then Neymar or Fred. So yeah, I'll take your 3 too.
Fred.
But yeah.
Fred, my boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with first, actually, Neymar. I think we'll have a huge World Cup. I know he's broken out, but this will be his real, final, big come-out party. So I think Neymar will be number 1. Number 2, Messi, just because the talent is there. He's a great player. And number 3, a little bit of a dark horse, like your Fred pick. I'm going to go with Lukaku from Belgium. He's a great player, and he's young. Belgium, I think they'll be able to score a lot of goals in this World Cup with their group. So I think those are my top 3. Yeah.
Okay, so now we go on. Who will meet in the finals? Not much explanation needed here from me. It's South America. I don't think Germany comes through. I think Brazil comes through. I think they're headed to the final. And then Argentina against Spain. It's a good matchup. However, I think Argentina moves on. I think they set up Brazil versus Argentina, the South American showdown, bringing the trophy, the Jules Rimet trophy, though not the original, but that pure gold trophy the most important symbolic trophy, will be heading back to South America and tying the series between Europe and South America because the other confederations just can't seem to win at 10. But who will be the tying? Will it be Brazil? Will it be Argentina? Obviously, that will come later. Jake, who do you think will meet in the FIFA 2014 World Cup final?
Well, it's kind of weird how I have this going out. So there's Brazil, who I strongly considered might lose to Chile, and now I have them going to the final. So yeah, I think Brazil is going to be able to top Germany. And then you have Argentina and Italy. Italy, who, again, is a very risky pick with Spain, which I'm not sold on. Argentina against Portugal, I'm not sold on either. But I think if Argentina were to play Italy, I think slow and steady can only get you so far.
Hey, they're both Italian, though. They're both Italian. Argentina was colonized by many Italians.
Oh, well, then, wait a second. By that logic, Portugal will defeat Brazil in the final.
They will reconquest?
Reconquista.
Okay.
That's Spain. But no, I'm going to take Argentina and Brazil in the final as well.
And now, Sam, do you agree, or do you have a little bit of a difference?
Yeah, I have Brazil and Argentina in the final. We'll go with the South American final. And, I think Brazil will have a little bit of a tough time with Germany. My prediction will be the toughest match for Brazil, and I think it will be probably the best game to watch because Germany is stacked. They have Ozil, Gretz, and Mueller, but I just think Brazil, this is their time. This is where they're hosting. They're going to be ready. They're going to be pumped. Their fans are going to be with them, and I think Brazil will just be able to take this out in an overtime game. So I think Brazil will hand it over, or get the win, and hand the L to Germany. And I think Spain versus Argentina will be the other final. And I think Argentina is just going to be able to win. I like Spain, but it's so hard to repeat, a World Cup, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But Argentina is stacked with Aguero, Messi, Di Maria, Tevez, and, this will be a little bit of a wake-up call for Argentina, because it's going to be, it's going to be probably it will actually be their toughest match of the whole World Cup, so they're going to have to be ready to go. But, I think they will be ready, and I think they're going to have enough, and Messi will carry this team. So, Brazil versus Argentina in the final. Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have now the Golden Ball, the MVP of the tournament. And I have two repeats, Neymar and Messi, because I think both will be in the final, and Iniesta, just because he's Iniesta. And I wanted to pick one outside of the two teams I have in the final, so I have Iniesta. Pretty straightforward. All three extremely talented. That's basically my reasoning. Jake, who do you have as your Golden Ball finalists?
Stuff. Okay, if Italy makes it to the semifinal, that means Balotelli's got to be doing something right. So Balotelli's a finalist.
Pirlo! It's all Pirlo!
Of course. But I think it'll be Neymar when it's all said and done.
Okay, and Sam.
Yeah, I think it will be my 1 and 2 in the finals. Also, I think it's going to be Neymar and Messi. But another player to watch out for, Mesut Ozil. He's a really talented player for Arsenal. I think Germany makes it. He could be in the running for the MVP. Yeah.
Okay, so the last and final thing we will talk about. Who will win? In the 2014 World Cup, 64 teams enter. And, of course, 64. 64.
32.
Sorry, I just started thinking about March Madness because on my Google Drive, I had to write a paper about the beauty of March Madness.
It's really beautiful.
It's still lingering in my mind. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So 32 teams enter.
It's the most unpredictable thing in sports.
Yeah. 32 teams enter. One team leaves as champion. One team leaves in second place. One team leaves in third place. One team leaves in fourth place. And so, actually, no. After that, I believe, 4 teams finish?
Well, technically, hold on. Brazil doesn't really leave, do they?
One team, if they win, one team doesn't move at all as champion. Okay. Who will win? Sam.
All right. I'm going to say, I think you guys know it, but I'm going to have to go with Brazil. I really like Brazil. This is going to be their year. They have the players to make it. Neymar, in my opinion, I think he's going to win. And he's going to win a lot of awards in this World Cup, and I think he's going to be able to carry this team and be the leading goal scorer. He has just been very great lately, and I think he'll be able to take it. In Brazil, their fans, they have some of the best fans in the world, so their home court advantage is going to be outrageous. So especially in that game against Germany, where I think it's going to be the toughest game for them. Their home court advantage will carry them, and I think Brazil will just have enough to make it. I think this is finally their year where they take the big step to win the World Cup.
I mean, it's not like it's the first time they've won it, though. Let's be.
Yeah, but in a while, they haven't.
Soft, as they're calling it.
It's been a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
They haven't won enough.
Jake,
do
you agree? Will Brazil move nowhere and be champions?
Kind of. They're going to move nowhere whether or not they finish first or second.
But will
so
they
I tell you, they're not moving anywhere. No, Portugal defeats Brazil and takes Brazil.
Are you seriously picking Portugal? Are you being serious?
Yeah, Portugal. No.
Brazil into the middle of the Atlantic.
Are you serious? No, you're not. You're not serious. You're not serious.
I may have given this away earlier. Said Brazil and Chile is going to be the toughest matchup for Brazil. Brazil can get past Chile. Brazil is going to win the championship, and I think that's what's going to happen. As of right now, Brazil over Argentina. All of the misery the people of Brazil went through and the financial hit that they took. At least one silver lining, one light at the end of the tunnel. And that light comes from the shine of a beautiful solid gold trophy.
Okay, and now my turn. I agree. Brazil, they've won 5. They're gonna get 6. Last time coming in 2002, and they will bring it back as champion. Bring it back probably let's see. Where's the final being held? It's probably at Maracanã, which I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's in Rio. Are they playing Maracanã?
I don't know. I can check though.
Okay, I'm pretty sure.
I can check Republic.
Maracanã is their number 1 stadium, which is in Rio de Janeiro, which means they're going to have to bring it a little bit back to Brasilia because that's their capital. So you know what?
Estadio de Macarana.
Yeah, Estadio Macarana.
Macarana.
It's not Macarana. It's on the A. Maracanã. It's Maracanã.
Maracanã.
Okay.
There's a tilde over the end.
Yeah, but no, it's over the A.
It's over the end.
No, trust me, I'm looking.
Estadio and a tilde over the end in Macarana.
Look at this. No, it's not. It's trust me. Everybody who knows anything about soccer, look at the Wikipedia page.
I trust you.
It's Maracanã. Okay. Next up. Oh no, what am I saying next up? Bring it home to Brasilia. They will have to move. That's a surprise one. Yep, they're gonna have to move a bit. You heard me.
ESPN just had to tell me that LeBron just drove through traffic and dunked it. Thanks, ESPN.
Congratulations to LeBron.
My gosh, they love LeBron.
LeBron dunked. This is like, oh my god, LeBron. But we have to stay on topic. LeBron James will not be part of this World Cup, much to ESPN's chagrin. And Brazil wins it as a result of that. LeBron goes on strike and throws a temper tantrum because he was unable to participate for the USA.
It was a little too hot in Brazil for him.
He was getting cramps.
I think he actually cramped up and could not participate in this tournament.
Okay. But
Johnny Football had to replace him.
Brazil wins it all. And what a marvelous World Cup I think this turns out to be. 2010 was great, but I think 2014 will be better. I think we will have one of the best World Cups that we have ever seen. I think we will have one of the more interesting World Cups that we have seen. A potential for dark horse, a potential for surprise, and a potential just for the beautiful game to become even more beautiful. So, with that, Jake, thank you for being on the show. Oh, can we don't have a name for the show yet, but me and Jake will be doing a soccer show. So, unnamed soccer show will be on at some point. And also, I will be doing numerous World Cup shows while I'm in Colombia, of course.
Live from Bogota, I think.
And Medellin and Cartagena. But I will be doing multiple, have different hosts on, of course. Jake will probably be on them. Sam will probably be on some of them. Carl will probably be on some of them. You know, the normal people. And, of course, Blake and Noah at some point. I don't know when I'm going to fit it in. But, yeah.
Wait,
and
if I'm in Hawaii, does that mean I'm doing a triple joint coverage of... I'm doing a 4-team coverage then. USA, Australia, South Korea, and Japan. I guess I've kind of positioned myself kind of perfectly for bad soccer teams.
Woo! Yeah. Well, Japan isn't bad. And neither is South
I
Korea.
do appreciate a good Honda.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Jake. Thank you, Sam. It's been a great show. I look forward to Brazil. I hope everybody out there is excited for what should be an amazing World Cup. And keep it real.
Go Kings.
Oh, come on. Okay. You know what? I had to stop it just for that. But then we're not putting hockey in here, Jake.
I'm sorry, you've done that on every single one of my shows.
Fine. You can say it. Just say it before I play. Go.
Go Kings.
Do